Hi everybody, Dan Illman, Mike Beer, the DRFBets race of the day for Friday, April the 2nd, Grade 1 stakes action at Keeneland. It's carded as race number 9. It's the Makers 46 mile. $300,000 is the purse for older horses on the turf. And for our loyal race of the day viewers, please consider this money back offer we have on the table. Bet $7 to win on any horse in the race of the day this month. And if your horse runs second or third, you get your money back. Of course, you bet through DRFBets, either at bets.drf.com or through the DRF iPhone app. Let's meet the field for the Grade 1 Makers 46 mile. You can access free formulator past performances on the Race of the Day event page at drf.com. Download them, handicap along with us. We'll take the field in post position order, beginning with Chad Brown's number 1, Raging Bull. Mike, this is the morning line favorite, taking on older horses for the first time after running them all down in the Hollywood Derby in December.
Yeah, he had quite a year last year as a 3-year-old. He went 5 for 7. You could argue that he had big excuses in both of his losses too, Dan. I mean, he just ran well in every one of his starts. I liked his Hollywood Derby in his 3-year-old finale. He got a good trip in that race, I thought, but he also won fairly easily. I don't know. I mean, I don't have any real knocks about him. I suspect he'll come back running off the layoff for Chad Brown. Whether I want to bet him as the favorite in this field might be a different story, but I think he'll run well in here.
He defeated 2 next out winners in that Hollywood Derby, and while he has won twice at this distance, including his career debut right here at Keeneland, do you think he got better as the distances increased last year?
I mean, I didn't think so. I guess we'll see what happens. I actually was even into the Hollywood Derby a little concerned about how far he actually wants to go. So maybe I'm just wrong about that. I don't think a mile is going to be a problem for this horse.
Let's take a look at a Chad Brown formulator fact over the last 6 months. Older last out winners on turf. He's 10 for 18, 14 of 18 on the board, a 369 ROI. It's typical Chad Brown, and he usually excels off this kind of a layoff. Raging Bull handles any kind of footing. We are expecting wet weather in Lexington, Kentucky on Friday. We'll see what we get from Raging Bull. He should get some pace as well. The 2 is Dr. Mounty. Dr. Mounty got a big pace setup to win the Grade 3 Tropical Turf 2 starts back, and maybe not so much last time out in the Appleton.
I mean, that's true enough, I guess. I mean, the Appleton didn't set up great for him. I guess you could say he did well just to get up for a third in there. I don't know. I thought he ran fine. It didn't make me think I wanted to bet him back in a Grade 1 next time, but he's improving for sure.
Some things going for him other than his all-world connections. John Velasquez, Shug McGahee, he should get some pace in this race, and he seems to excel the softer the turf. I mean, that win in the Grade 3 Baltimore-Washington turf, that was over the most yielding ground you can find at Laurel, so they're really hoping it's going to rain at Keeneland on Friday. The number 3 is Hembry. Hembry, another one that might have been compromised a little bit by the pace in the Canadian turf last time out. Krampus, the winner, was sitting up close to the pace. Hembry tried to get into it, just couldn't do it. He took advantage of a nice pace setup 2 starts back to win the El Prado. He goes out for Michael Maker, who's always dangerous, but I've never felt that this ex-claimer is a Grade 1 type.
I mean, me either. I like what Maker's done with him. He's obviously improved this horse quite a bit. I like both of his last 2 races. I think he's going to have a really tough time beating a field like this, Dan, but if I was just going to take a long shot and just take my chances in this race, I'd probably do it with him because he has been in good form.
Yielding ground could pose a problem for the number 4 Delta Prince for trainer Jimmy Jerkins, although I thought he ran quite well in the Pegasus World Cup turf last time out at a distance that was probably a little bit far for him. He got pinched a little bit at the start, and Frankie Dettori seemed very eager in the early portion of that race to follow the early moving Catapult. He eventually got Delta Prince settled, he attacked, he made the front, and then I think he found that distance too far. I do think his kick is more effective on firm ground, but he should sit a really good trip sitting just off the speeds.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to like about him, especially on paper when you start pulling his races apart. I think he will get a good trip in this race, certainly a better one than he got last time. You know, I'm just not that big a fan of his, Dan. I could sit here and make all the reasons that you should like him at a short price in there. I think there's a chance he goes off favorite in this race, which I guess I wouldn't argue with. I'm just not a big fan. I don't really want to bet this horse.
Carebon, the number 5, is another one that would take advantage of a big pace, and he has already run well at Keeneland, 3rd in the Shadwell Turf Mile last year. Last time out in the Tampa Bay Stakes, that race hasn't come back very strong, but he had to go the long way around while the winner shot up the wood.
Yeah, I mean, I could make the argument that he could have won that race with a better trip. You know, we'll see how that all shakes out. He was sort of I like what Bravo did. He was trying to save ground in the second turn. He just got held up behind horses. He really couldn't get clear to run. He had to take him, angle him to the outside in the stretch. And by the time he got his momentum, it was just too late. But he was gaining ground at the end. And I think another jump or two, he probably wins that race. I thought he ran fine in there. I liked his race prior to that when he was second to Glorious Empire as well. As a matter of fact, he's run well in all 4 of his starts over here. I think he's a big contender in this race.
Let's take a look at the Timeform U.S. pace projector for the Makers 46 mile. The defending champion, the number 6, Heart to Heart. When he breaks from the gate, that's where he's going to be. He's going to be in front last time out in that Tampa Bay Stakes. I was a little bit disappointed. He made the lead, and while he fought on as he always did in the lane, he just really didn't seem to have that same resolve that he had showed perhaps when he was a younger horse. He is now 8 years old, but he obviously likes Keeneland. I am a little worried about some giving the ground for him, although he did win the Bernard Baruch a while back over yielding ground. How much does Great Wide Open hurt him in this race?
I mean, I think he hurts him a little bit in this race. I would be more concerned about Heart to Heart's just his current form. As you were sort of alluding to, it feels like he's probably lost a step. He's still a good horse. He still does his very best out there. And I guess he could still beat a field like this one. I just don't think he's quite as good now as he once was.
The 7 is Clyde's Image. This horse is an up-and-comer for trainer Tom Bush. He has won 2 of his last 3 races since returning off of an extended layoff. It's apparent that this horse has ability as well as tactical speed. He just seems very slow on paper as he makes his return to the graded stakes ranks.
Yeah, and just taking a big step up in class, too. I think he's got a little upside. I like the way he's come back from the layoff. He's another one who likes a little give in the ground, so that's not going to bother him. It just feels like a tough spot for him.
Completing the field is the 8, Great Wide Open, second in the Shadwell Turf Mile. Then reeled off a couple of nice victories at the fairgrounds when able to shake loose on easy leads. That really didn't happen in his last 2 races. He had to go faster than expected in both the Bradley and the Fairgrounds handicap. He paid the price both times. This time around, he might be in press mode, and pressing Heart to Heart might not exactly be a recipe for success in this race.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do, if they just try and clear that horse from the outside. I don't know what they're going to do here, Dan. He has dangerous speed. I respect him. He ran well in the Shadwell Turf when he was second at the end of last year. I don't know if I really believe he's quite good enough to win a Grade 1, but maybe he gets to the front here and makes himself really dangerous.
He finished just behind Mark It Off in that most recent start. That horse came back to run a pace-aided 101 Beyer when second in the Muniz behind Pegasus World Cup Turf winner Bricks and Mortar. Let's take a look at our top selections for the Grade 1 Makers 46 mile. Kerban. Seems like these types of horses, they beat each other. You know, it's maybe Kerban's turn this time in the Grade 1 Makers 46. He goes out for the great Kieran McLaughlin, and you gotta think he's gonna get some pace.
Yeah, I think he might get a better trip this time. I think he fits well with these horses. I think it might be a fair price too, maybe 3rd or 4th choice in this race. That's good enough for me. I like him and Raging Bull best of anybody again.
I realize you're not a big Delta Prince fan. I thought he ran well enough last time out in the Pegasus World Cup for trainer Jimmy Jerkins, who seems to do well off these 61 to 180 day layoffs in turf routes. I believe he's 4 for his last 10, and I think this horse has a little bit more tactical speed than he showed last time out. I'd like to see him sitting 3rd or 4th and get the jump on the true closers, turning into the stretch, but I am worried, as you are, that this horse might get bet down from his morning line and might end up the favorite in this race. Mike, you're going 5-1. I'm going with the 4 in the Grade 1 Makers 46 mile. Remember, the race of the day bonus to our race of the day viewers. Bet $7 on any horse to win in any race of the day race this April. And if your horse finishes 2nd or 3rd, you get your money back. You have to bet with DRFBets using bets.drf.com or the DRF iPhone app. Approximate post time for the Grade 1 Makers 46 mile, 5:30 Eastern. Good luck.